Welcome to Electorama Weekly. I'm Rob Lanphier, founder of the Election Methods mailing list and co-founder of electorwiki.org, among other things. Today's main story is Ohio Senate Bill 395, a proposal that would replace party primaries in Ohio with a top three primary and then run the general election as a series of pairwise head-to-head matchups. It was introduced just weeks after Ohio moved to ban ranked choice voting. I'm joined again this week by Taylor Eigen Fisher and Carlo Estefano.
Hello, I'm Taylor Eigen Fisher. I'm a mathematician, and I write blog posts about voting at eigentaylor.github.io, and I focus mostly on approval voting.
Hi there, I'm Carlo Estefano. I'm a student at Sam Houston State University. I study environmental science. I currently am trying to advocate for approval voting in Houston city elections, and you'll find my YouTube at Carlo Estefano. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Cool. Okay, well, let's start with SB 395, what SB 395 actually is and where it stands in the legislature. And I'm going to read from the Ohio article on ElectorWiki. In 2026, State Senator Louis W. Blessing III introduced Senate Bill 395, a proposal to implement a top three primary election system and consensus choice general election system for congressional, state, and local offices in Ohio. The Ohio State status page lists the bill as introduced on March 23rd, 2026, and referred to the Senate General Government Committee on March 25th, 2026. So thoughts on some of the basics of this? Anyone? Bueller?
I think it's interesting that this is being pushed by a Republican, given that ranked choice voting is typically something that's kind of associated with Democrats, like it's something used in blue states. And so this being introduced by a Republican in kind of a reddish state like Ohio is, I think, a very interesting move.
Yeah, and I'll try to bounce off of that. I think that the consensus choice movement, trying to push it specifically in Ohio, I wonder if this is actually something that could be successful, could set kind of a blueprint for other areas and states that may be a bit more wary of ranked choice voting as kind of a partisan thing. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting situation that we have going on there in Ohio.
Yeah, no, I love the fact that Condorcet is, finally starting to get some traction in places other than just theory. So this is cool. So anyway, I'll read a little bit more. As introduced, SB 395 would define voter-nominated office to include governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, treasurer of state, attorney general, U.S. Senate, U.S. House, Ohio Senate, and Ohio House. For voter-nominated offices, all candidates would appear on a single primary ballot, and each voter would mark one candidate, regardless of the candidates or voters' party affiliation. The candidates receiving the highest, second highest, and third highest numbers of votes would advance to the general election. In election methods terms, the primary is a single non-transferable vote with 3 seats, or a block vote, really. Thoughts on the mechanics here of the primary, at least?
So I know last week we talked about California's choose one runoff system and kind of the problems with that. So it's the same system, but now taking the top three. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe a top three kind of lessens the severity of some of the issues with a choose one kind of jungle primary. If maybe there'll be less of a risk of a lockout. It'll be interesting to see if maybe the theory that more independents might actually do better in this kind of system potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there's been a lot of discourse, specifically in the voting community, about in nonpartisan primaries using something like single non-transferable vote versus a majoritarian system like approval, or block approval specifically. I noticed that specifically within like kind of the consensus choice community, we know RBJ pushes this kind of argument as well. They worry about a single party, a dominant party, taking all the seats. I really am curious about how they hope SNTV to interact with Condorcet, because the incentives there could definitely change, and that at least would be my, I wouldn't say concern, but at least something that I would bring up, and I would want to learn more about what other people would think on that.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect there's going to be a lot of other folks asking some of the same questions that we're asking. Maybe not at a voter theory level, but just in terms of like, so are is it going to be 3 Republicans? Is it going to be 2 Republicans and a Democrat? Is it going to be 3 Democrats? Is it going to be a Democrat, Republican, and independent? I think the Ghazi romantic version of this is that it's a Democrat, Republican, and independent, and that this causes the independents to be able to have a candidate. But I have a hard time believing that the Republicans and Democrats are going to let a third part, like the Democrats are going to be pushing for all 3 to be Democrats. The Republicans are going to be pushing for all 3 to be Republicans. So yeah, this will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's kind of one of my that's kind of one of the things that raises my eyebrow with this. It's that it's hard to coordinate around vote splitting, and SNTV, because of the choose one factor, there still is that vote splitting, even if you're advancing 3. I do wonder how far, I don't know, let's say the Republicans would want to go with that, if they'd really be confident that they could stretch to 3 viable Republicans to really do kind of like what is it called, a lockout?
Yeah. Well, right. Well, Ohio is, I think, recently more red than purple, but but like it's no California. We talked about California, and of course it's the Democrats that are in danger of getting locked out here. In a state that is utterly dominated by the Republican, or excuse me, by the Democratic Party. Is like, the idea that two Republicans might advance is abhorrent to a lot of people. But anyway, well, let's move on to the third little bit. So the general election would use pairwise head-to-head matchups among the finalists. The ballot would display every unique pairing of candidates, and voters would mark one preferred candidate on each pair and leave a pair unmarked. A candidate who wins every pairing would be the statutory consensus choice winner. Consensus choice, and thus the winner. A candidate who wins every pairing would be if no candidate wins every pairing, the bill would elect a candidate with the smallest margin of loss, with some ties resolved by lot. In election methods terms, this rule tests for a Condorcet winner among the 3 finalists and falls back to minimax Condorcet tiebreaker rule when no Condorcet winner exists. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I find that really, really fascinating. Because as like a way to get around the ranked choice voting ban, because it's technically not a ranked system anymore. It's individual, kind of like we're running all the runoffs at the same time. And with 3 candidates, that's the only level where it's really manageable. Because like once you get 4, it's like 6 matchups voters would have to vote.
Right.
So with 3, it's quite reasonable. And Minimax agrees with other Condorcet methods like ranked pairs, I believe. So for 3 candidates at least, this is pretty reasonable. The only kind of weird thing is a voter could express non-transitive preferences. They could say, I like rock over scissors, I like scissors over paper, and I like paper over rock, which could cause some issues potentially, but inherently it seems like a fine system. Very Condorcet in spirit, probably more Condorcet than a ranked method in spirit.
Yeah, it's a Condorcet. I mean, it's an interesting ballot to put in front of voters. It'll be interesting to see, you know, if, assuming this passes, which I'm not going to make that assumption really, but, you know, we'll still, we'll, like, it could pass. If it does, it'll be super interesting to see if people who are just clowning around do exactly what you said, like just do the express the circular preferences just to see, I wonder what happens. Does my ballot explode? Like, what? This is awesome. I don't envision, I have to believe that that's how some people will, that'll be their version of abstaining, of voting for Mickey Mouse or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, probably most people who vote that way are probably joking around, because, you know, if you vote that way, it means that there's no one candidate you want. So it'd be like asking the voter, like, okay, but who do you actually want to win?
Yeah, it's kind of almost like we have the option and approval to approve of everyone, but you know, and outcome, that kind of means you have like no real preference within the election in the first place. So I'm real. This is like for something that could be implemented. Like realistically, I'm very, very intrigued with this.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like a fun little exercise, if nothing else, to work it out. So anything else on this one, or should we move on?
I'd at least note that, and I'm sure that others would disagree. If that number of, I guess, circular ballots was really high, like it was more than single digits, I would probably have concerns about keeping that, or maybe trying to patch that, or figuring something else out to still avoid the ranked choice voting ban while having consensus choice. Because in my mind, at least, if we're getting to those numbers and it's beyond just like people goofing off, then yeah, we'd probably need, what would it be, transitive, or would it be transitive if there was that restriction?
Yeah, I didn't even think about the use of that word until just now. Like, it would, I guess, technically be transitive. Like if you're doing circular, it's transitive, right?
No, circular means it's not transitive.
Yeah, so like if there was like a I guess like
I guess it's because it's 3. Okay.
if there was like a transitive restriction.
A circle 2 would be A over B over A would be.
That would not be transitive either. So
I
transitive
prefer A
means
over
that,
B.
yeah, if you prefer A over B and B over C, then you also prefer A over C.
Oh,
that's transitive.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, right. Okay.
So wait, so Taylor, is it transitive? It's transitive if you're not allowed to do the circular thing, and it's non-transitive if you're allowed to do the circular thing. Is that kind of what?
So a voter's preference can be non-transitive, but the system has to output a transitive preference. So it's called a social welfare ordering. But in this case, really all we care about is who wins. And so to do that, we kind of need the outcome to be transitive somehow. And so Minimax and the system would hopefully generally define a single winner unless you have a really absurdly tied up election. Like in a I would imagine it would be really hard to create a tie in this kind of system.
I was conflating two words, and I'm trying to remember what the other word is. Where what is the math? What is it called when you say if A equals B, then B equals A?
Oh my God. Reflexive. No, it's not reflexive. Oh my God, I should know this. I should know this.
All right, right, yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Prof. Taylor.
I know. Oh my God, I'm embarrassing myself on national TV.
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, well, yeah, I was, I already mauled transitivity, so.
I mean, it's like, well, if you're thinking about it in terms of like a relation, it would be like symmetry or like reflexivity.
Symmetry. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one I was trying to think of. Yes.
Okay.
I was conflating transitivity with symmetry. Okay. There we go. Set my brain straight. All right. Anyway, anything else on SB 395?
Specifically about the mechanics or the politics or
anything else? Any other thoughts?
I think that I wonder if it's because who's the lobbyist behind the bill, behind what's going on here? The consensus choice member who's in Ohio.
I believe Ned Foley is pretty heavily involved with this, which yeah, I'll post a link in the video to Ned Foley's Wikipedia page later. But he is I'm pretty sure Ned is kind of the main guy. Well, I believe he's the one that runs Better Choices for Ohio, which is kind of a sister organization of Better Choices for Democracy. And there's a separate website for Better Choices for Ohio and Better Choices for Democracy, and we'll put all the links in the video later. But yeah,
I wonder if it's because he's in Lewis W. Blessing's state Senate district, but if that wasn't the case and he picked a Republican, I wonder if that was strategic, because RCV has become a partisan thing, right? Yeah.
So, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so having a Republican state senator introduce it is probably could have been a strategic move if that was intentional, and I find that very interesting.
That is an interesting point. Yeah, right, because yeah, at this point, it's not like the Democrats are really for RCV, but they're not as anti-RCV as the Republicans are. So there's a lot of people here in California who are bitter. A lot of Democrats here in California who are bitter because Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed a ranked choice voting bill a few years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. yeah, that was a thing. So so that means they got it through both the House and the Senate here in California, and then got to Newsom's desk and he's like, no, and they didn't try to override him.
Look at that.
I don't remember if it's possible for the governor or for the legislature here to override the governor's veto in the same way that, like at the U.S. level, at the federal level, is possible. Probably is, but shrug. I don't know. That's research for later. What's that? Go ahead.
Oh no, just now that I think about it, maybe I know that the non-ranked consensus choice is to get around the ranked choice voting ban. I wonder if the single non-transferable vote, nonpartisan top 3 primary is trying to get around something too. Maybe not. Maybe it is.
I think they're just trying to get something that will pass.
I will say that I think, like, if I can inject my opinion here, I think this is a much better system than using ranked choice voting. I mean,
like it's You know, I mean, there are plenty of theoretical holes you could poke in this.
Not
and-
as many with ranked choice voting, at least.
Well, you know, it's easy to poke fun at the circular ballot possibility. And I'm going to guess there's going to be some usability issues that they're going to have, like with, you know, spoiled ballots, etc. I mean, it won't really be spoiled. Like, it's hard to spoil this ballot. That's, I suppose, one of the benefits is like, this is, you know, I mean, the only way to, like, there will be people who will accidentally mark something and then need to like replace the ballot because like, that's not what I meant. But, you know, but like, it won't be the case that there's no sort of specific marking that automatically spoils the ballot.
And I would imagine it'd be more compatible with like the existing voting systems that they probably already have.
Yeah, right. Like the machines you're talking about. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They don't have to make them capable of doing ranked choice voting. Yeah,
You're just counting up
a very good point.
three races. So I think it's really good. I mean, I would probably want something like approval in the primary instead of choose one, but relatively speaking, I think this is a pretty good system.
Yeah.
It checks off many practical boxes for me as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm rooting for them at the same time. I'm not betting on them. Like, I'm just rooting like, you know, because they've got a big uphill climb.
It's still in committee, right?
I think so. Yeah. So we'll see how they do on this one. But yeah, anyway, we should probably let's move on to some of the other stuff here. So and I just so Taylor and Carlo, feel free to jump in at any time with all this. I'll just start reading these off. The first thing I'm going to read off in Virginia, on April 13th, Governor Abigail Spanberger introduced or signed Virginia into the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, the NPVIC, making it the 18th state plus DC and bringing the compact to 222 electoral votes out of the 270 needed to activate this compact. And the first state to join since Maine in April of 2024. Less than a month later, on May 8th, the Virginia Supreme Court struck down a separate redistricting amendment that voters had narrowly approved in April, leaving the existing bipartisan commission in charge of congressional districts. So that's one of the things.
I still think it's really interesting how we're creeping towards NPVIC. I heard something that it could have just been misinformation. Are there enough states where it's going to be on the ballot or something, or that it's going to be up for grabs in the midterms where we might potentially pass it?
I don't think it's I don't think it's likely for the midterms. I'm not sure about that, but I don't think it is.
Okay.
I did the math because I heard that it's close, and there are some states, like some of the swing states, are kind of introducing it, or at least considering it. And I was looking at like, because I saw some headline, it was like the National Popular could be what's used in 2028 essentially. And I checked like which states would need to pass it, and I believe you need Pennsylvania, you need Michigan, and then you need one of Wisconsin, Arizona, or Nevada. Or I think you need two of them, any two.
Interesting.
And then you'll get 270. So, Pennsylvania and Michigan might be, there might be some pressure on them.
That'll be an intense legal battle, especially because, it's called a compact, but it's not like officially a compact, right? It's just the states signing their own individual laws saying, hey, we're going to do this.
Yeah. Right. Which that's the other thing. It could very well be that as it gets closer, there are states that withdraw.
Mm-hmm. And and that's also going to bring into question. I mean, we've been bringing this up for a long time now. The apples to oranges problem with Maine and Alaska.
Yeah, like how do you count the national popular vote for a state that uses ranked choice voting? Like,
Yeah, how
if
are
you
they
rank,
tallied into the state or to
yeah,
the
so
popular vote?
yeah, so if you vote for like a third party first and then the Republican second, is that one vote for the Republican
Well,
between the two?
my understanding of the way that Maine does it, and I don't think Alaska vote. Well, does Alaska vote for POTUS with RCV?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, regardless, it's winner take all from what I understand. So it's not, they're not doing proportional, they're not doing STV in a proportional sense. They're doing RCV to pick a winner and then allotting all of the electors to that winner. So
Well, we mean like for the national popular vote, because we need to
I
decide
see what
who
you're saying.
wins.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. I have no idea.
Well, there is, I guess, like probably the most theoretically formidable way, which is you find all the voters who had a preference between the national frontrunners, the top two frontrunners, but that has not been implemented in Alaska, that has not been implemented in Maine, and that will never happen ever. And I will be a corpse before that happens. Like I don't know, because if let's just say that enough states amounting to over 270 electoral votes pass some kind of national popular vote interstate compact law, you know, would the tally in Maine and Alaska be enough to create a disagreement between the NPVIC states where some of them will be like, hey, we're gonna, we think that D really won, or the other ones will be like, we thought R won.
Yeah, that's yeah, I don't, you're right. Like, I have no idea how that's truly gonna
That would
work.
be terrifying. That would be actually terrifying.
Yeah. In other stuff, this was kind of random. Like, I think I'm not going to go through the full list here. I think I'm going to only go through a couple of these so that we can wrap up pretty a little in a minute or two. But Maine's Democratic gubernatorial primary is on June 9th. On April 27th, the state employees union endorsed Troy Jackson first and Shenna Bellows second. On April 29th, the Maine Educational Association ranked Bellows first, Jackson second, and Nirav Shah third. The Sierra Club of Maine endorsed Hannah Pingree, Troy Johnson, and Shenna Bellows as the top three slate. And at the May 7th Republican debate, candidates Dave Jones and Ben Midgley cross-endorsed each other, each asking voters to rank the other second. So lots of both weird cross-endorsing and also ranked lists being put out by organizations.
I think this is awesome. A lot of people are, they're really skeptical when it comes to the voting stuff, especially with more expressive ballots about, oh, will voters get confused? I personally am a huge fan of organizations, labor unions, churches doing this kind of endorsement situation, or just any community, anyone who could be seen as a type of leadership or coalition. I love this. I think this is great. And, it'd be better if we had systems that actually, produce the consensus choice results that we want from these more expressive ballots. But at the very least, the culture, the voters, the organizations adapting to this, I think it's great, and I think it's setting up for something better in the future.
Yeah, cool. I also wanted to say that I do kind of worry when we talk about like coalitions in ranked choice voting, because they're not quite as safe as I think some people think. So like if this was like a Condorcet system, then if I can rank them the top two, that's like pretty safe. But in ranked choice voting, there's not a guarantee, and if you rank them in the wrong order in your first two spots, you might accidentally elect like someone you really didn't want.
Yeah, Yeah, what is that's what election methods nerds like to talk about as monotonicity, right? Like accidentally voting for somebody higher can actually cause your candidate to lose in some rare cases.
Or like a participation failure as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, anyway, the third thing, I'm just going to bring this one up and call it good. May 5th, the voters in Berwyn Heights, Maryland, a town in Prince George's County, approved an advisory ballot measure to explore ranked choice voting for town council elections with 76% in favor. Fair Vote called it the first RCV ballot measure to win in 2026. Good for them. Yeah. So anything, you guys have the script in front of you as well. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or should we call this one for this week?
That was great.
I think we can call it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for the Electorama Weekly. The plan is to publish on Wednesdays from now on. So this is the May 20th episode. The Ohio article we use today is at electowiki.org/wiki/Ohio. And the monthly newsletters are found at electowiki.org/wiki/Electorama News. And the weekly episodes are going to be, I haven't done this yet, but I will. It'll be at electowiki.org/wiki/Electorama Weekly. If you have corrections or want to flag any electoral reform news that we should track, send suggestions to news@electorama.com or leave a note on the newsletter talk page, or just edit the newsletter directly. It is a wiki. And with that, I'm Rob Lanphier.
I'm Taylor Eigen Fisher.
Carlo Estefano.
And thanks for watching Electorama Weekly.